Now, the first film we are going to talk about this week has been absolutely destroying at the box office, both in America and internationally. This film is making a huge amount of money, much more than was forecast for it. And it's really proving a delight with audiences as well. Younger audiences, that is, who've been filming themselves reacting to sequences in the movie by whooping, cheering, screaming lines and throwing popcorn everywhere. We are, of course, talking about a Minecraft movie. And listen, from the looks of things, there will be many more A Minecraft films. Now, this stars Jack Black, Jason Momoa, Emma Myers, and more, including the Oscar nominee for The Colour Purple, Danielle Brooks. They are thrust into the universe of Minecraft, specifically the overworld, a place populated by peaceful villagers who don't really say anything but are awfully friendly, and then the evil pigs who come at night and try to terrorise their local communities. Now, this is a very strange film, I have to say. I don't think it's one that necessarily plays brilliantly if you're not familiar with Minecraft as a game, and I have to confess I'm not. But I was really expecting this to be unbelievably bad. I thought this was going to be a one-star monstrosity, and I have to say I was really pleasantly surprised by it. It made me chuckle a decent amount of times, and it leans into the brand of humour that I really enjoy, which is clever stupid, where there are recurring jokes that are so dumb they are hilarious. I particularly enjoyed the fact that one of the big MacGuffins in the film is a big glowing orb, but because it's rendered in the universe of Minecraft, it is of course a cube. I mean, that's the level of complex jokes we're working with here, but for me it sort of worked. So, Jake, are you on my side? Did you think that this was not good? It's not good, dear viewer, but not nearly as terrible as you feared.
Well, this film is doing very well, mainly because it's sort of got on that meme trend. You know, it's hit a very strange marketing tool that, you know, it's self-generated by its viewers rather than, you know, it's very cheap. You know, it's causing a lot of disruption, but then again, it means that Minecraft has had a huge opening weekend. People do assume that it's going to be terrible because the trailers, in fact, were not good. I'm not familiar with the game. I've never played it before.
Oh, no. I was hoping you were going to say that you were an expert and could talk me through it. But I mean, we're in danger now, I feel.
I'm terrible at video games, and Minecraft, I'm sure there's some competitive element. I sound like such an idiot right now. It stars Jack Black doing the most Jack Black routine possible. Some people can be really rubbed the wrong way by that, but I think I loved this film.
What? Whoa, sorry. What? You loved it? You loved it, Jake?
It was so bizarre because I was just sat there and I assumed that it was going to be awful. And to be honest, last week was kind of mid and left me in a dour mood. So going into a Minecraft movie, I thought, oh, this is going to be slop, real naffness. But I grew up loving School of Rock. That's my sister's favorite film. We always used to watch it. And I think that's, you know, the purest form of Jack Black, the best form of comedy, the best version he is. And the fact that Jack Black starts this with a really quite hilarious opening montage, I thought, you know, the children yearn for the mines. Skadoosh. You know, that's my Jack Black impression.
Do you know what? That was actually a very good impression. And you're so right about the kind of the opening info dump is done in a way that is very entertaining. I also immediately was chuckling in this film, and the sequence where he sort of faces down the same sort of wizened miner that he met as a child is very entertainingly done.
So because of that, because Jack Black and Jason Momoa were giving everything to this film, and like genuinely everything, like they were being as over the top in a way that Gal Gadot in Snow White was, but the opposite, the best side of over the top, just enjoying it. And I thought that they rendered into the CGI world really quite neatly and nicely. I thought because it was so surreal, it kind of allowed for that. Maybe there was one or two shots that I thought, oh, that's not, you know, rendered in quite nicely, but it wasn't the majority. The majority, I actually felt very engaged in the world. And I was shocked by that. I genuinely thought that the humor worked so well throughout. It has some really bland moments, like a lot of the emotional arcs of the characters are very stale.
The labored story arcs in quotation marks for a lot of the characters are really quite poor.
Oh, I completely agree. They're so bland. Emma Myers doesn't really do anything in this. She's like a surrogate mother character. Danielle Brooks barely shows up, and she's actually quite funny, but doesn't get that much to do. It leans very male dominated. I think they are trying to go towards maybe what the market of which this film is, which is for young boys. So you do get a lot of Jack Black, you do get a lot of Jason Momoa, and then there's Jennifer Coolidge in for the adults like me and Reuben. And I loved her appearance. She doesn't do much.
I also loved her. And do you know what I loved even more, with zero spoilers, was it's not a post-credit scene. It's just like as the credits are scrolling, there is a scene that genuinely made me think, oh, that was great, even though the film was a real mess, because it has the most unexpected and delightful vocal cameo. And it's a sequence involving Jennifer Coolidge. And she is really fun. You could completely excise her narrative out of the film, however, and it would make no difference. Because did you not feel that this did just feel like a bunch of ideas were put on paper, and then suddenly they were just filming. They were just filming, and they were absolutely making up the plot as they went along.
Yes, kind of. But to me, that felt like an open world video game that you can do what you want because it doesn't really have much of a linear pull. And to be honest, I'd sort of been charmed by the two leads, who are, in fact, Jack Black and Jason Momoa, and their bromance. They're both losers, but they learn to achieve great things by being more collaborative, being engaged with other human beings. They're both quite isolated and live in their own worlds, quite literally for Jack Black's case. And I was fully hooked by him because he guides us through it. Jack Black was the perfect person to pick for this because, he's doing a bit of his rock and roll shtick.
But I love his rock and roll shtick. I love it. I'll always watch Jack Black do the most ridiculous, over-the-top, operatic performances of naff songs. Like that's kryptonite for me. I love that.
Yeah, so therefore I was kind of like, well, Emma Myers doesn't have much to do. Well, one of my favorite parts of this film is that an integral inciting incident or piece of the storyline is that the main young boy character commits an act of domestic terrorism, which then leads to them eventually ending up in the Minecraft world, which I thought was just so ridiculous that I had to smile. I thought, yeah, okay, that's not just a minor explosion in a classroom, genuine property damage on an industrial scale. It's ridiculous, and I think the absurd jokes and the humor of it all, and just it's presented in a way that I think you can enjoy this movie massively. The kids will definitely enjoy it.
I completely agree. Children will love this, and we've seen the videos. They are.
And it's not too heavy. It's not political at all. Even you could probably read into it about it.
No, you couldn't. You couldn't read into it at all.
You could. You could. It's about the main villain tries to take away all creativity. And a lot of people have made comments about this movie being a lack of creativity in Hollywood. This IP has been represented in a way that was very charming, that someone like me, who has never played the game, really enjoyed it, didn't feel lost. And I'm sure there were Easter eggs in there for people who do play the game. The humor felt creative. It could have gone even blander. It could have been like the Playmobil movie. This one wasn't quite up to the standard of the Lego movie, which is the gold standard of these types of films, which can be philosophical, humorous, and then also have great animation style. This was a little for younger audiences, I think, but I enjoyed it a lot, and I would highly recommend it, and I think people should. I'm not really engaged in the meme culture of it all, but hey, I just had a great time, and I like Jack Black's got a great singing voice. I liked the cubes. I liked all the bits that kind of didn't make sense. I liked when Jennifer Coolidge showed up at random points. I loved that voice cameo, because why wouldn't I? I loved it all. I thought you could have actually deleted the younger characters from this movie and younger kids would have still enjoyed it. I know they're more surrogates, but, I kind of thought that it was in that weird way. We're in this hyper unrealistic world where one of the main characters has a mobile petting zoo in her car. I thought these are great jokes that just fly by. You know, it's not a joke a minute. It's not that clever like the Lego movie, but it is funny. And I did really like it. And I left the cinema so confused with myself. I usually hate everything. Why did I really like the Minecraft movie? Well, it was rather pleasant. So, Reuben, do you have anything more to say?
Yeah, so I'd just like to push back against some of your points, okay? Because I broadly agree with you, but I would never go into the category of thinking it was good for anyone other than a family. You know, I think this is really good if you have children who are interested in Minecraft. I think this is good if you are someone who really likes Minecraft. Like, there are people our age who have grown up playing Minecraft and might well have better access to this. But from my point of view, I thought that whilst it wasn't nearly as bad as I was expecting, it is a mess, and I did find it a bit exhausting. I don't know how long it is, but I felt a bit tired by the time we got to the kind of big climactic finale. And I wanted more from the characters. And I don't think that's too much to ask. You can make a big, silly, colourful children's movie and make it brilliant. We've seen so many of those. We've talked about so many of those. To talk about your favourite film, there is an element of this which is similar to The Wizard of Oz. It's a similar story. There are direct beats in this which resonate with a lot of great fantasy material. The Wizard of Oz, Lord of the Rings, it's all in there, often like very visually quoted. But I just wasn't getting any kind of emotional engagement out of it, and I needed that to sustain me through a film which is quite hit and miss. There are completely, as you say, funny, well-executed moments, but there are other moments where it's just sort of flailing around, trying to find something to do. The action is okay, but it's much better, to be honest, when it just focuses on making dumb jokes. That's what I enjoy. Jack Black is fabulous in this, and Jason Momoa is doing a similar performance to his Fast X performance, where he is just absolutely chewing the scenery. He's ripping off chunks. He's chowing down. Like, it's glorious to see. There's a huge amount of Ryan Gosling's Ken from the Barbie movie in his character here. It's really, really fun to watch him be in that sandbox. But I was so angry for Emma Myers because I love her in Wednesday. I think she's absolutely terrific. I think she's really good in A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I think that series was fun. She deserved much better writing. I felt it had quite a patronising attitude towards its female characters who are completely sidelined. They don't get any cool action, actually. It's always kind of really undercut by other stuff. And the men get to be these kind of heroic action figures. And that really annoyed me. The 80s nostalgia of it is fun, but only to a point. I felt like so much of this, on a surface level, was doing enough to keep me going, to keep me, just about engaged. But it's so hollow, and I got to the end and I just felt like I'd inhaled a load of sweets and been hyper for 5 minutes, but then I felt a bit sick.
See, I agree with you on the point that, as I said before, there's not much for Emma Myers or Danielle Brooks to do. In the film, they sort of get a bit sidelined by some of the characters, especially the men. I think that what was missing was its bit of emotional weight with some of the characters, but I do disagree that you could find something else in Jason Momoa's character and how he sort of re-establishes himself. He's quite a low life, to be honest, throughout the film, and then obviously becomes a bit more of a hero at the end. But there's enough for me to keep going through. I do agree it is like eating a lot of sweets, but maybe it's my favorite sweet, so I'm only a little bit sick of it by the end. And I think it was a great surprise. That also made me feel a bit more positive towards the film because it had a lot of goodwill. And every time I thought the goodwill was sort of running out, something else happened that made me feel like, oh, actually, that scene with Jennifer Coolidge gave me a bit more energy to keep going. And Jack Black said something in a very bizarre way that, made me smile or just made me feel like, yeah, I want to go watch School of Rock after this. That'd be awesome. It's sort of, I really liked it. The thing is, I think I'm having to be
the negative one because you're being very positive about it, and I do think that it's thoroughly flawed.
It's quite jarring the opposite way around, isn't it, Reuben?
It is. I'm feeling quite shocked that you said the words "I love this film," but I have to say, listen, there are elements that I enjoyed. I thought that it was broadly funny. I really enjoyed the villain, who is voiced by Rachel House, the New Zealand actor. I thought she was really funny. There are very good moments in it, but the whole thing is in such chaos that I don't think it's good. You know, it's not a good film. It's a film with good elements in it. That said, I am really glad that it is drawing people in. I'm really glad that people are having a good time. And I think that it's really, really great that there is something in the Easter holidays for families to go and see and enjoy. But I think that people need to be aware of the fact that the trends that are circulating on social media, with everyone throwing their popcorn at the moment Jack Black says, "Chicken jockey," is an absolute nightmare for everybody who works in that cinema, because the amount of hoovering they are going to have to do in the 10-minute break between that film ending and the next one starting is going to be a nightmare. So please, if you do go and see this, do not throw popcorn everywhere, because you are absolutely making someone's life hell.
I also really loved Rachel House in this film. She also did great voice work in Soul, and is marvelously hilarious in Hunt for the Wilder People, another film. We mentioned it, I think, last week, but one of the best films ever made. Yeah, truly hilarious. Just the tonality of voice, just someone who knows how to utilize their voice in a way that creates comedy. And I think there are great actors who do that, and I do think Jack Black is also one of those actors. His performance in this really did nullify a lot of the bad grossness that came from Dear Santa, one of the worst Christmas films I have ever seen that came out last year. And he was truly misplaced in that. A really harsh and horrible movie. This film is not harsh or horrible. It's very positive. And I will say, opposite to Reuben, that I think it is a good film. Not great, but I think it's good. So, is it just mining a franchise, or will you craft a good day out to go and see it? You decide.